Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's March 24th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And today was really a reversal type day. Notice we had two legs up. We made a new high. Uh, we had what looked like a two-tiered channel here, but it really was confirmed. But once we came back here, just prices really ignored it. Notice we had that two-legged correction there. So I would measure that first leg and look for a possible measured leg, which we didn't quite get that. And when that doesn't happen, it's not surprising that we sold off pretty hard. I talked about it a little bit this morning in the mid-morning chart update that we were a little bit done to the upside. Plus, we're right around 3,900, and it seems like we've been going back and forth between 3,800 and 3,900 for a while now. And so I think we were a little bit overdue for a correction, which we got today. Wouldn't surprise me if we get a few days of correction. We'll just have to see. But when we didn't make that measured leg there, we started trending down. We have the green two-tiered channel here. Maybe this in the end was just a midline though. And you see if you move that down, that's probably accurate. I just left it as it was because really we were playing this channel into the 2 o'clock period and it didn't really sell off until after that. So if you use this channel, it looks really valid here. And maybe we just the trend steepened is all that maybe happened here. So maybe you just have to draw your next trend line. It doesn't really, again, it doesn't matter. It's after 2 o'clock, so I'm not even going to worry with it. But I just wanted to show you that. But yeah, we had two legs up and then we sold off, and that's really kind of what I expected. I wasn't sure if we'd make a new high or not. Because I wasn't sure if we were going to get back through the upper side of this channel. But we did. We pushed on through. We didn't quite get that measured leg, though, and then we started selling off, turned down. And that's generally going to mean we're probably going to trend on off pretty good to the other side. So, but let's back out. We'll talk about the trades, and then we'll wrap this day up. So 7 o'clock came right in here as we're making this little double bottom right here. And we bounced back up and we turned down. And it was pretty obvious then that we were in a trading range. And really, I meant to mark this one red and this one. You could actually mark green, but I'll explain this one. On this one, you get a triple test. You're a little ways away from the EMA. And it is a little bit of a lower high, but it's a nice bearish signal bar. So I like going short there. Generally, you'd be better off to wait on a lower high, but because it's a triple test, I don't have a problem with just taking that trade directly. It's pretty obvious now that we're probably going sideways. But on this lower high, the reason I'm not crazy about it is you had to play this on the break lower here. And this is a really big bar, and it's got a lot of stem on both sides. I don't think you want to wait and go long down here or short down here. It's just a little bit too far, right at the EMA. So if you didn't enter when this bar pushed past right here, then I probably wouldn't enter that trade. You're probably better off to skip that. But if you're just patient, in a few minutes you get a second entry long with a triple test off the low and a nice signal bar. And that would have been a nice trade right there. Takes us back up to the high. And unfortunately, you just don't get a setup here. Somebody emailed me and they'd taken a short in here somewhere. Their chart looked a little different than mine. Seems like they had a more bearish bar. I think they had a break below that bar. Maybe they went short there. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, you got to be careful here about going short right in here. There's a little bit of a spike in channel, and there's actually a trend channel here if you didn't have this bigger one, the yellow one I have. So with the yellow one, there's really no reason to want to go short at all, but you can't go long right there either because you can't go long into that resistance. Notice how many times we've turned down there and we're still holding. So you would expect prices are probably going to push through there, but you'd be better off to wait and try to fade that and short it back to the range. That's the play on this. We don't enter with the breakout. We usually look to fade it or trade back to the range. So anyway, you make this high, you go higher once, and then you try to go higher again. You really got a triple test there and a nice bearish signal bar. I like going short right there. And that turns out to be the trade of the day, really. Because if you catch this one, you definitely catch a runner and you can ride this all the way back down. And that's exactly where I would have exited, right there, just in front of that support. And that was an easy trade to catch a runner on. And then, of course, you try to go lower 3 more times again here, and you get another bounce off of the lows with a nice signal bar. A little bit of room back to the EMA too, so really you're just kind of looking to ride it back and see what happens. On a range day, you don't worry about the EMA as much. It's always should be something to think about and to take into to apply to the equation or the context, but it's not going to scare me out of a good setup. So, and there's a hidden second entry here. Notice you're coming down, and the little bar that moves up, and then another bar down. That's 2 legs down, and we've tested that low multiple times. I like going long there. And plus, we do have a break and 2 attempts to go lower. That turns out to be a nice trade. There's a higher low right here, but not a great signal bar. And then your reversal is just, it still looks like congestion. There's too big a chance it pulls back. If you'd have taken that trade, it would have worked, but I don't like that for a reversal. Not the fact that you got to go long way up here, that far away from the EMA. Generally, you want the setup to be a little closer than that, or more of a pullback, because you don't really have a pullback here. And you're overdue for one, and you see as soon as you enter, you get the pullback, and then it goes higher. So this is actually another hidden second entry. Notice you trade down, you come back up, and you trade down again. And this actually breaks lower and turns and goes out the other side. You may take that trade. It's right off a key entry point, and which is this trend line right here. And it's a very bullish bar, and it is a little bit of a trap because it broke lower below those 3 matching lows and then turned up. Hopefully you can see that. Let's make this a little bigger. You can see those 3 matching lows right there. And, or actually, where am I here? Oh, right here. Sorry, I got lost there when I backed out, or zoomed in, I should say. But actually it doesn't break lower, but you try to go lower 3 times there, and then it turns up. You might enter long there, but I'd probably skip that trade. What in the world's going on my chart? Anyway, we get a break here. We move to a new high, and we just turn down at the highs again. Unfortunately, you don't get a chance to enter this short. There's no setup, and we actually push right on through. It's a shame that we couldn't get a better entry than that, but we just didn't get one. And somebody asked me about this as a reversal. It's not a very good reversal either, because you just got an up bar and then a down. It's really 2 up bars, and so this is really an inside bar to this bar, and it just doesn't set up like a true reversal. Technically, it wouldn't be a reversal. I think this is where they entered right here, the break higher right here. And notice how we pushed right back through the EMA, and then we're kind of stuck between the support and the resistance of the EMA. And that one didn't go higher, and then that one didn't go higher. So this is not a good reversal setup, because there's no rejection off of that range support. But if you just patient for a second, in a minute you get the first entry, which would have been what they thought was a reversal, but all they did was get trapped out, and then the reversal does happen on, and this is a second entry long. Notice this new high, you're coming down, you break higher right here. That's the first entry, then you correct again. So when it breaks higher, look how bullish that bar is, and it did close inside the trading range. That's the place to enter. There's a higher low here, but no setup. And then there is another reversal here. And this reversal looks much better because it breaks lower first, turns up, goes out the other side. Just enter on an engulfing bar there. Or you could wait for this one and still enter. I don't think I would have entered up here because that bar, you would think that bar would take off on that engulfing bar if it really trapped people. So it still acted as a reversal, but you didn't get that strong surge that you usually get from a trap, and so that's a little concerning there. So if I didn't enter on the engulfing bar, I don't think I would enter that trade on that reversal. But notice you got a new swing low, first entry, second entry, and that's a new swing low because we made that one and broke higher and then turned back down. So this is technically lower than that one. And if you catch this one, you got a pretty good move, and you don't really get another. I mean, any of these bars that are bullish that come back to the trend channel or the trend line here, you could probably enter on, although there's not very many really nice bullish bars that come back. So it just doesn't really give you a chance to enter. And of course you get a close, two legs up, and then we reverse. And there's a couple of ways to look for a new high here. One was a measured move based on the channel, which would have been right here. So if you did catch one of these and you were able to get a runner or something, I probably would have exited here. But if you held on, this would have been the logical place to exit. But you were also looking for the measured move on this leg that would be equal to this original leg over here. You can see this coming up. But we don't get it, and then we reversed, and notice how we get back inside the measured move of the resistance on the range, and it's acting as resistance basically. And this one's tempting, but it's on the other side, and it's just a first entry, and it's not a failed second entry or anything. This is technically a failed second entry. And it does kind of make a triple top, but I just don't think it's worth trying to risk on that inside bar. So again, if you just sit tight, a few minutes later, you do get a failed second entry long. Notice this is a new high, or you could look at it as a double top, either one, and you go first entry and then second entry, and it fails. That's more, and it does confirm that trend line too. And look at it take off. And unfortunately, this is a pretty good down move, but it never comes back to the key entry point. It does turn down off that EMA quite often, but you don't really get a good setup. You might have looked at this as a failure. Notice that new swing high, it's higher than that one. So first entry, second entry. So you might have thought about entering right there, but just because of where it's happening at, I'm not crazy about it. It's one you could consider, and it would have worked. But it's just not a great setup. And then of course you come back here and it's just a first entry, and there's not much room back to the lows, so I don't like that one. But then you get the overshoot, and then you get a first entry short, and so there's a second entry right here, and I'm sure a bunch of people got trapped short right here because they're not really paying attention. When you get this overshoot, that tells you to scrutinize this one very closely. And of course, this does look like a spike in channel, so you would draw that trend line, and you just wouldn't want to go short right into that trend line. This is one of those cases where I'd wait on a lower high to be sure that we're starting to move lower again. But when it fails, if it breaks higher, I guarantee you it's going to trap people. And a lot of these shorts are probably still in, and that's going to be their clue to exit. And look at it surge up real quick. It does exactly what you would want a trap to do. It surges up real quickly, so it's a real quick, easy trade. But we're running up, and then you finally get a close outside. By the count, this is a second entry, but if you look at this, this is just sideways, and it looks like one leg down. So I don't think you want to go long right there. I think you want to wait on a better entry. Because it could hit the trend line and turn down, or it could break like it does and try to make a new low. So you just have to kind of be patient for a minute and wait for something better. There is a higher low here, and this does make a lower low, so this is the swing low. You might enter this one, but there's 3 bars stacked up. This one has a lot of stem. The body's fairly small. It's not, it doesn't look like pure congestion, so it looks like prices are just kind of not sure if they're going to go lower or higher there. So it's kind of hard to know what prices are doing just yet because we don't have the new low. So I would just sit tight a minute. And again, just by being patient, 2 bars later, you get a second entry long and a failed second entry short. Notice that new low. So first entry, second entry. And that fails. And notice you got a new high or a double top here. So first entry, when it breaks above that bar, it's a second entry long. Now that gives you a lot more information to know, hey, we probably want to go long because we're probably going to try to make a new high. And that's what we do. We run up, and I just drew the trend line off of that, and come to find out it is the, you can see that we're working the midline there. You can see prices bouncing off the lows here. So unfortunately, you don't get a chance to go short until here. And notice you're working down, you try to go higher once, twice, and there's actually a second entry short there. It's a little bit congestive, and this trend line's not really proven, although I drew this off the lows and drug it up. So it's probably, and it did turn down right at it, but it's not quite back to the EMA. So there's a little bit to be concerned about, really, about entering that one. So I marked it green. It does break higher first and turn down, so it's probably going to act like a trap. And it is a failed second entry long as well. So for those reasons, you may still take that trade. And this just continues to work lower, but I just don't think it's very wise to enter way down here at that far away from the EMA. This one has a good signal bar. This one has a good signal bar. This one's pretty big right here, so I don't think I would want to risk that going short right into the lows there, a little double bottom. This one, you don't have a whole lot of room either, but it's a relatively small bar. And that you could look at this as a failed second entry because this is higher than that high. So first entry, second entry, and it quickly fails. So for that reason, if you took that one, knowing it's a little aggressive, I'd be okay with it. Of course, we run down here to the lows, and you make a higher low here, but that's too bearish. This is an inside bar, another inside bar, so you don't get a chance to enter that one. And then you get this overshoot, and you try to go higher, and you basically just got this resistance across here. And so this is a little failed break higher, and we're a little bit away from the EMA, so you may take that one. Because of that overshoot, I think you're probably okay. Otherwise, I would say wait on that trade. But with that overshoot and the fact that we tried to go higher multiple times there and failed, and got a nice bearish bar, you may take that trade. And this is off the midline of the bigger channel, and you can see we've turned down there a few other times too. Of course, we come down to the lows, bounce, and we just kind of start working sideways again. You do get a failed break lower here. This is really tempting. It's a nice signal bar. It's very bullish. It's rather big, and it does let you get long with plenty of room to get out, but it's just a first entry. So again, I would wait, and then you get a second entry right here with another good signal bar, and a higher low as well, but it didn't break lower. So again, it's just like an inside bar, and I'm not as crazy about that one. So I would just sit tight as well and wait. And it comes back again, but no chance to enter. And then finally we get a chance to go short here from this side. And notice this new low, first entry, second entry. There are 2 measured legs up there, and you do have a break of this and a new high. And that's a fairly bearish bar. And again, you're just looking for a scalp here, back to the other side of the channel, back to the EMA, other side of the channel. And maybe you'll catch an important high, which guess what, you do, and it takes off. But really all you're hoping, at a minimum, you're just looking for a scalp right there. And this turns out to be a pretty nice trade. You would have got a runner on this. And it runs on down pretty quickly. And notice you got 2 legs down. So this is a failed second entry right here, and it actually breaks higher and turns down. I like going short there. Just try to make a new low. It's a little bit congestive, but the fact that this worked higher, there's actually a little, oops, wrong one. There's actually a little channel here. And so I like this just because it came off the EMA, and it is a second, two legs up. Those move up, come back, move up. So that's a second entry short and a big bearish bar, and we're nowhere near the low side of this range. And that turns out to be a pretty good trade. It actually bounced momentarily there, and you get a lower high. I wouldn't enter on this lower high, though. Really, the only way you could enter it would be the engulfing, and then you got to go short at the low. By the time it closes here, it just skips. I mean, it turns out to be a great trap, but if you weren't riding it from here, I'd probably just leave that alone. And I don't think you'd have gotten into this trade because it just bounces over, goes down, and if you try to catch it on the way back, depending on where you got in, you may not have got back out again, and then it reverses. So, and I wouldn't go long here just yet, even though you have a break and a couple of legs down to a new low. We're not back down to this trend channel line yet, so I would just hold on. Of course, we run back up and turn down off the midline, but you don't get a setup. It's a shame because that's another quick move down. And that just takes us into 2 o'clock. There's one more here, but we just came off the lows again. So there's a chance this could break lower and turn up. So I don't think you want to go short right there. It's a pretty big bar. Although you could have entered it on the engulfing. It broke higher first and then went out the low side. And there is room to get out. But at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd probably skip that one. But it probably does qualify for a green as well. So, and that's what I saw today. So, good many trades here today. Again, 2 legs up and then a reversal day. And this is a good trend that strengthened as the day went on. So, anyway, that's it for today. I'm not going to beat around the bush and drag this out any longer. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next.